Speaking of government, though, scrolling the timeline yesterday, very interesting. They talked about the H-1 visas, something else that Trump is putting his hands into. I don't know if you guys know what a H-1B visa is, but it's essentially companies outsourcing employees. And so when you fill out applications and it asks you, do you need to be sponsored? That is for H-1B visas, and where companies have to vouch for you during the application process. They also have to pay legal fees. They have to pay registration fees and stuff like that to the U.S. government so that you can be allowed to come into this country and work. There is a 3-year cap. You can file for renewal, and where you can be here up to 6 years. A lot of these H-1B visas is for very, very technical jobs, IT, engineering, all of that type of shit. And so Trump put into place a $100,000 fee per application to companies if they want to bring somebody out of the country using a H-1 visa to work for their company. I thought it was very interesting. At first, Trump told the American people that it would be an annual fee. So per one person, if they're here for 6 years, it would be $600,000 that the company would have to pay to the government. Trump, like he usually does, went back on his word. It's not an annual fee. It's a one-time fee. And even still, that is very, very steep. But when we're talking about companies, Google, when we're talking about Amazon, data scientists, data engineers, and the work that they do to help these companies grow, $100,000 is a drop in a bucket per se. When we're talking about smaller companies, it does get a little bit dicey. But I thought that it was, one, crazy that he went back on his word, no longer an annual fee, and just looking at the implications for the job market when it comes to these things. And the cause for this is to deter companies from outsourcing jobs, right? And keeping the jobs in America, which will then ensure higher pay for the American citizens. There is also a negative towards it as well, and where companies just be like, fuck it, I can take my company outside of America, right? Because of what would be perceived as the lack of talent when it comes to these high-end jobs from Americans. So there is a good and a bad to the H-1 visa situation, but I wanted to know how y'all thought about it. What were the implications of?
I was so mad when I saw that they bullshitted on the whole thing. I was hype about it at first, what they did, but then they kind of bullshitted and took it all back.
You were hype about what?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
I was hype about what he passed.
Why were you hype about it?
I just thought that was really good for the American people, man. They needed that.
They needed companies to be
They
deterred from
needed
bringing in people.
him to restrict that. Yes. What's wrong with that?
A couple things. One, he talked
What's
about
wrong?
not necessarily wrong, but there is the other side, right? So the other side of this is, right, in order to get into these spaces, because 9 times out of 10, if you're on an H-1B visa, you have a bachelor's degree or equivalent or higher, right? And so you would think, oh, this is going to the American people who have this, right? But also talking out another side of his mouth, because I've said this multiple times in these spaces, he has agreed to let 600,000 Chinese people come to America to go to college. And he upped it from 400,000. So when you talking out of both sides of your mouth,
he's just snaking
it
his
doesn't make sense.
base. That's why I'm saying he's snaking them, because he know that that's really what them people wanted. And they wanted it to be strict, okay, so that the companies would absolutely be deterred. But it's really not that strict. It's not even annual. It's a one-time 100,000 payment. It doesn't even apply to the people that's already here. Even when the thing starts, it doesn't it doesn't start for them,
No,
for like as it
it's
does for
only
all the new
for
incoming people.
it's only for new applicants, right?
Right.
And so what they wanted to do was $100,000 a year for everybody, whether you have a visa or not. And then also,
Right.
if you are outside the country, in order to get back in the country, you need to pay
You had to
$100,000 as
pay
well.
the right. You had to pay the fine. I
Crazy
mean,
talk. Like what?
no, that's not crazy. That's what it should have been.
Why? I don't get it.
Rashad, I think I'm gonna be honest, Rashad. I'm just a bit like xenophobic, and I know, like, as a child of immigrants, that probably don't make a lot of sense. But Rashad, I've had like Indian dentists. They are rude, nasty, racist people. So I don't give a damn about Indians having a hard time getting to America. I don't.
How were your
100
teeth
and
after that?
100%, 100%.
What do
They
your
were
teeth?
working on my teeth. I worked for him, and he
Think
threw
Oh,
about
an
all the
instrument at
subways.
my head.
Think
I
oh,
about
like
okay,
most of the
Indians.
subways.
okay. My bad. I thought I was like, how are your teeth? Your teeth look pretty nice. I'm not gonna hold you. Listen, if that was the cost of a little racism,
Nah.
Every
And they
time
be
I try to
coming over
order
there
a
with them
sandwich, they
whack
get rid
ass
of me.
freaking dental degrees, and that's why y'all be getting the wrong teeth pulled. Man,
that's why
please don't get me
niggas
started.
be having chiclets in their mouth.
Yeah,
Nasty.
that's why they be having them fat chiclets, and they be missing their damn side tooth.
No, that's the crab legs. Let's go.
Wait. I want to say real quick. My doctor, I just thought about it. I just got a new doctor. She's Indian and she is a little weird. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think she
They
self-medicates.
always
She
be off, man.
self-medicates or something.
They always be off. I had my gynecologist at my last office in Greenbelt. She was Indian, and I will never forget. She gonna put the thing, like, I'm screaming and squirming because it hurts. She like putting the speculum in, and she was like, "Is this how you act when you have sex?" And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh." I said,
Wow.
"Oh man, oh, you will be reported. Oh, you will be
Yeah,
Wow.
reported.
they're a little
I'm
out
not
there.
playing with y'all, freaking racist bitch."
No, that's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That's crazy. Yeah, definitely would have reported her. Let's go Pixie, and then we gonna get, matter of fact, yeah, ladies first, then we gonna get to, Kari and Hotep, then we got you, Rel, cause they haven't spoke yet. Go ahead, Pixie.
So thanks, Kenya, for confirming that or clarifying that you're a bit xenophobic.
Yes,
Listen,
I am. I'm honest.
at least you're honest and you stand on it. Salute. So what I was going to go ahead and say, or what I'm saying is, this is my bottom line. It's not going to hurt. Like Rashad said, the bigger companies is a drop in the bucket, right? And even them, because they're just, stingy, they're not going to want to do it. It's gonna hurt really the smaller companies, and it's gonna just further monopolize certain industries which were already there, which again leans towards fascism. I don't know, but okay. That being said, I also believe that things like this are dangerous and it's a slippery slope because it's a free market, right? America has market or worked on a free market, right? Which is why we're allowed to go ahead and outsource, which is why we're allowed to do certain things, right? He's trying to close out the market, blah blah blah. You can't do it in this grandstanding kind of way without it having repercussions. Our agriculture, with what he did or what he's doing, our agriculture right now is suffering. Our agriculture, that part of business and throughout America is suffering because of the way that he is doing it, to the point that our groceries, that's why our produce is so high at the moment, or that's one of the reasons, better said. So we have to we have to find a way to kind of do that. If we want to go ahead and keep jobs in America, we have to find a way that isn't in a complete overhurl like how he's doing it. If not, it's going to have it's just going to splash back at us. And that is my point. At the end of the day, the reason why I give a fuck about things like that is because it's going to harm us at an overall scale the way that he is doing it. I'm not mad at him mitigating certain things. I'm not like, I could stand for that. I'm like, all right, cool. Yes, I'm tired of having my jobs. Like, I'm tired of my friend who's an engineer, right, has a really great engineering degree. He can't fucking find a job at the moment. He has 3-4 months that he can't find a job because of the fact that unless it's contracted where you're being paid a very low amount versus somebody who is not contracted. Yeah, it's a bullshit ass job. It's not worth it. And then
Yeah,
on top of that, then you're giving it to people that are overseas and you're giving visas for them to be able to do the job. But
so I
please,
think,
like, you can't do it that way.
the truth of it is, all companies are going to do is just go and outsource these jobs, right? And we're in a space in history in where computer science majors are facing unemployment at a higher rate than arts majors, right? So in a sense, you are even more discouraging people to pursue these technical jobs because there are going to be less jobs when these companies start outsourcing this shit for real, for real. And so in my opinion, like, this shit is like, well, it's symbolic because he wants to seem like he is hard on immigrants. But the truth of the matter is, in the long run, in my opinion, you fucking it up for American citizens. Go ahead, Kari, and then we got Hotep, Rail, and H. Bush. What's the word? How you feeling, Kari?
I'm feeling good on this Sunday. How everybody doing?
Oh, good, man. Got to get to it.
That's what's up. Well, I'm in the tech space and I've worked alongside people that's had these H-1B visas and things like that. And none of these people that I've worked alongside of that I feel were they any more qualified than anybody over here that was doing it, Prior to this Trump thing, the cost to get somebody over here on an H-1B visa was about $5,000 for a big company, you know? Excuse me. So that was allowing a lot of companies to get talent from overseas for lower salaries with not very much to hold them back from doing it because of the low fees. The $100,000 fee is making it to where companies are only going to get really highly skilled employees doing things that they can't really find over here. So I see the plus for certain fields, but I do think a lot of things will start being outsourced because of it, that you don't need somebody on site for. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, do you think that that's going to, long term, do you think that that's going to hurt or help the economy as far as the American worker? Because like I said, computer science grads, unemployment is all-time highs.
I think it'll help in the long run for those jobs that you do need to be on site for. But for jobs you don't need to be on site for, I think they'll be outsourced.
Go ahead, Hotep. What's the word? How you feeling today?
What's the word? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday to everybody. So first I want to address, the fear mongering in the room. I don't like it. I don't like it. We're not fucking getting into fascism. It's not going to happen. There's 330 million of us in this fucking country, bro. We're not going to allow fascism to take over this country. Like, we have to stop doing that shit. As a black American nationalist who is a proud American, proud black American, I don't give a fuck about people having a problem with my nationalistic way of thinking. I'm definitely America first, Americans first over everybody. So if we're going to make it harder for motherfuckers to outsource these jobs for people who are not even as qualified as many Americans, I'm with it. If you go look at the website for what immigrants are allowed to come here on the H-1B for, it's motherfuckers working at your local 7-Eleven on an H-1B. You feel me? It's not just the tech space. One of the main reasons why, Rashad, to your point, is it's AI. AI right now is taking over the tech space, which is making it much easier for these big tech companies to be able to circumvent a lot of the people hiring a lot of these CS degree holders and stuff like that. And so again, when it comes down to the fear mongering, that doesn't help us at all. It's not solution based at all. The stuff that you're describing that Trump has done, Biden has done it, Obama has done it. and nobody was crying fascism then. So again, I get y'all don't really fuck with the Republicans and shit like
That's
that.
true.
You feel me? I get that y'all don't like the Republicans, but Obama locked up way more illegal immigrants than anybody else. Obama deported more illegal immigrants than anybody else, and none of y'all back then was calling it fascism. So let's just keep things in perspective. Let's just keep things on an even keel. I understand it's fun to do. I don't know where even Pixie got that from, but and I got mad love for Pixie, so it ain't that. I'd be arguing with her ideas, not her. She's cool. But again, back to your point, Rashad, it's not these companies are not going to just leave the country because you still have to have American employees for, first and foremost. And then second of all, when it comes to that, there's tariffs on that shit. So yeah, if you move your company out of this country, then you're going to pay a fee for that too. So it's an incentive, an economic incentive for them to focus on Americans first. You dig?
But what do you say to, I would, along with the wages, right? Because I do understand that maybe in certain instances you can have lower wages, right? But when we start talking about the technical aspects of these jobs, the engineering in the IT and all of that shit, there is no cutting niggas' wages, right? Because, pay what you need to pay them. What do you say to the aspect of the talent, the American talent pool in these fields of IT and all that shit is probably just not the same as what you would get from other countries.
Yeah, that's not true. The
So
only
that's like,
thing,
yeah.
the only thing that's not the same is the amount of crumbs these people are willing to work for that we're not. That's all it is. The reason why you get an Indian on the phone when you're doing customer service is because these motherfuckers have a call center in Mumbai somewhere where they're paying them cents on the dollar that you would have to pay an American man or woman to answer those same phone calls. You dig what I'm saying? So I get them wanting to cut those costs, but these people are not at all more skilled than Americans at all.
But I don't think that when we talking about the H-1B visas, we're not talking about that guy who's sitting in Mumbai. We're talking about the data scientist that's at Google. We're talking about, the software engineer at Amazon.
Right.
Right. And so I think we can have those two different conversations and where, yeah, whatever, they can cut that cost. But no, you need cuz at Google now.
Yeah, but
And
that's the thing. So when it comes down to that shit, it's cause I'm not trying to be on my Kenya and get in my deep xenophobic bag cause I feel her on that. Like I'm a big American. I'm a huge fan of my homeland, my country, my nation. You feel me? But when it comes to that, there is a culture surrounding a lot of, immigrant Americans, I'll call them, who come here and they look at our country like a lick. And it is. Economically, we are a lick. These people are coming from countries where they don't have the upward mobility that we have here. And so when it comes down to that, a lot of those candidates that get picked over the American, they're going to do a lot more for a lot less, even if they are coming here over the H-1B, just overall. Like you're going to have to pay that American sometimes 25 to 50% more for the same work, especially because an American is clocking their hours. And, an immigrant coming over here, they'll put in an extra 15 to 20 hours a week for the crumbs, because in their home country, this is not crumbs. An American, computer science major who knows what they're worth in the workplace at Google, at Meta, or all these other places, they're going to want the pay that they are demanding on the American scale. But when you have these H-1Bs coming through, they're willing to do more for less overall. So it's going to be an economic decision. That's the reason why I'm not mad at raising the fee. I didn't even know that the fee was as low as $5,000. Kari, and he's in tech, so I'm going to take his word for it. So to up it to $100,000, y'all think it's going to be like, oh, we're just going to outsource the company overall. No, it's going to be like, we're just going to start looking at our American talent pool instead of fucking trying to outsource these people because it's not as cheap anymore. That's the only reason why they was doing all this outsourcing, because it was cheaper. Now it's not cheaper. And so you're going to have to hire Americans.
I think
Right. So
that is one point, but I also do think that if somebody made an argument to say that the talent pool isn't as deep over here, I think that might not be the craziest argument in the world.
Now, why would you say that?
When you compare our education to other education and the levels of education, I do think that plays a part in it. Right? I think.
Rashad, have you ever seen India? So why they countries don't
Yeah,
don't don't
you're
don't be
comparing our
nice?
country to
That
shitholes,
don't make
bro.
no
Like,
Hold on.
sense.
No.
watch your
No,
mouth.
what I'm saying is with those shithole countries, then we're gonna get to the The hands. With those shithole countries, I understand.
I never said
Who said that? I think Hotep said that.
I think Hotep. Oh, damn, Hotep said that.
Yeah.
Oh, I never not said that.
I think that there is. I tell this story all the time, right? And where I was in fucking 8th grade, playing rec basketball, and we go to a random ass middle school in the county for our basketball games, and the Asians are having full blown school on a Saturday. They got the bells, they got the buses, they got lunch. Like, those are things that we see, right? And so we be thinking that niggas is just like, Asians just smart. No, it's just a different level of dedication. I think we see that with the Indians and stuff like that, and where somebody could say, hey, the talent pool is not as deep when it comes to that. I work with everybody I work in ERP, right? Implementation. Everybody on the goddamn dev team, listen, man, they're Indian. I'm not gonna hold you. Everybody on the dev team is Indian from Georgia Tech, dog.
All right,
Not
yo,
gonna
so
lie.
check, bro. So what you're describing is culture. I will give you that. Culturally, we do emphasize education. We do. But again, when you're coming from these second and third world countries, the emphasis on education is heightened because they are coming to a place where it's like, yo, there's opportunity everywhere. And then they apply a lot, not even trying to be funny, I do my history shit, but they are applying a lot of the principles that their ancestors did, which is that we're going to come together. So a lot of Asians, they have these things where, like, if you graduated in 2024, right? And so they're going to have all of the people who graduated, and they'll keep all of their finals. They'll keep all of the textbooks. And so they'll have the next generation of Asians coming up, and they'll create these study groups. Some will call them cheating rings, but they will literally give them the answers to the previous year's finals all throughout the year. They're studying on a senior level. Freshmen Asians are studying at a senior level. And so the culture, I will give them that. But to think that because of just that culture, that makes them superior to their American counterparts is not, they have an edge, but not the edge that you're speaking to.
You don't have to give them that on the culture. Rashad, you don't remember on the Killer and the Bee when she was going up against the fucking Asian boy? That was not healthy. What that Asian father was doing to that boy was not healthy. Let's also talk about their suicide rates. Like, no, I'm not just gonna give them the ups on the
I'm not
culture
gonna
because
lie,
they
Kenya.
devalue
Sometimes
everything else
Kenya,
and put education at the height of it all, and then they kids be ready to die when they fail them
I get
finals.
that, Kenya, but sometimes you got to crack a couple eggs and make an omelet.
Sometimes you gotta whoop some
And
ass.
sometimes you got to crack a couple eggs and make an omelet, Kenya. I'm just
What the
saying.
hell is Kenya talking about? Niggas
You
gotta
know what I'm
get
saying?
whooped sometime. These kids be bad. Stop it. Go ahead. I want Kari to respond, and then we got H. Bush and Pixie.
I was just gonna say that $100 fee, $100,000 fee is making it to where if they was going to hire a American worker and I'm just saying like in the tech field, if they was going to hire an American worker for 150,000, they might think they can hire somebody from overseas on the H-1B for maybe 100,000. But because of that fee now, that 100,000 is now being turned into 200,000 to hire that person versus the 150,000 to hire somebody from America. Now, the bigger companies might be able to eat that over 3 years to where it kind of balances out, or maybe even less, depending on how much they pay that H-1B worker,
Yeah, I do think that they're going to be more selective in the process, but if you need a nigga, you need him, and you just gonna pay that money. I ain't gonna hold you. And it's a lot of folks, like I said, I don't think people in this country are getting into tech as much as they did, because of not being able to land a job. We just heard Pixie. I've seen it, where I'm at, and where it is a little bit more difficult to land a job. And so if you're a kid coming up, why the fuck I'm gonna do all this goddamn hard work and still can't get no goddamn job when I can just do another major? I can do fucking political science or some shit. And so that speaks to why the talent pool might not be as deep as well. Go ahead, H. Bush, and then we got Pixie.
It might be the location of the jobs. Because like I said, I'm in Nebraska. It's a lot of Indians, Asians coming down here getting to take jobs in the warehouse buildings because they revamping their systems. So they are bringing them people down here and helping them grow their system with the AI stuff. And then you got to think about when you go to the culture and they kids, the first generations, once they start fucking with the white people, it kind of gets sticky because white people do white people shit and they got an umbrella. Now, some of these other people might have an umbrella, but they like you just said, you got to crack a couple eggs and make an omelet. So they'll let a couple of their kids fall, and then you're going to see when we get older, the domino effects of what they culture and the American beast going to do, because we've been in the belly of the beast. We know how the belly of the beast works. Some people are not willing to move from their area to go to a different area for work because you don't have to be you don't have to do data coding and stuff. You can be the person making the towers and building the system and hooking it up and keeping the stuff running. Electrician work and like going different states and stuff. Other states do need that. And that's all I wanted to say about it, because you can educate our people to still do this work. And that's kind of dumb. They want to outsource, because once you outsource, you bringing in different people that want to take over America.
But in Takari's point, in tech, where there are a lot of niche jobs, right? And where it's not necessarily conventional schooling is the reason why this nigga so fire at this shit, right? And so when you thinking about filling these niche jobs in this country, that it gets more and more difficult when you lessen the amount of people you can pick from. And so in those niche jobs, they're very important to these companies, these corporations. I think that would also be a situation in where a company would weigh their odds of, do we take a chance on somebody, or do we know that, this motherfucker, we can go get this from somewhere else?
Rashad, do you think you could train anybody to do anything, or do you think that somehow some people just have these like immutable characteristics?
Yeah,
like
there's nothing you can do in the world to be able to shoot like Steph Curry. Some niggas got it, and God bless them. There's nothing you can do in the world to shoot like him. Like, so I take that.
Yeah, for you, because you're 4'11". Don't speak for me.
But the Asians are learning how to jump like Michael Jordan.
That's a lot of hate. That's a lot. No, but I do think that some niggas are just gifted in every aspect of life. Some niggas just do shit at a higher level than anybody in the world. And you can train till you blue in the face. You can't do it like them. And that is, especially in the technical field, and where coding, nigga, I took computer science 1 and 2. God, listen.
Yeah, we're not gonna base your mediocrity.
God.
We're not gonna.
I just think I don't agree with that, Rashad. I really think it's culture that is like shifting how people overall get better at certain things. There's a reason why Black Americans have like the best singers. I think there is something culturally that's like cultivated there that caused that to happen. For Asian cultures, they are good at like analytics and math because culturally that is kind of like the way their culture is set up. You won't find Asians that are big into like abstraction and abstract things. That's why that's why there are probably instances of art and stuff like that. That's just not their bag. Even the way that they like look at life is very 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's very
so
rigid.
That's
it's
why
very
they're
rigid.
like that. So exactly. So it's just like everybody is. I don't think it's because they're born with this innate gene that makes them better at math.
Absolutely
No. I'm talking about like at the highest level of things, right? I think that is, but not even at the highest level. There's just some people who are better, right? Me, I cook better rice than you, right? There's nothing you can do.
Rashad, I messed that rice up one time, bro.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie to you, Kenya. Messing rice up one time is crazy.
Listen, there's nothing you can do to cook better rice than me. That's not a cultural thing. It's just right.
I can learn. Somebody could train me to cook it better.
But to Kenya's point though, like, train a child up, Rashad. All you gotta do is train the child up. If you focus, this is going back to an old throwback conversation that we had with intentionality and deliberation. These Asian parents are very intentional and deliberate with the type of curriculum that they teach their child, because they look at this country like a lick. They know that tech jobs and tech companies are going to pay the most. They know that medicine, finance, law are going to be places in America that pay the most. So I'm going to focus my child in those areas. Okay?
What you're doing, Hotep, is giving reason to why these corporations are not looking at Americans.
No, I'm not.
What you're saying is the actual reason, and where, no, I'd rather hire somebody who look at this shit as the golden goddamn ticket. I would rather, Coach Prime said when he looked for defensive linemen, he want the single mom, the parent where the nigga trying to get out the hood. You want somebody who is hungry. You want
Hungry,
somebody
yeah.
who's determined. And so if that is the case, because you said culturally, right? If that is a part of the culture, then I'm going to go over there because these niggas going to look at this opportunity as something that they can't fuck up as opposed to us and where we
Yeah.
look at it as a sense of entitlement.
Rashad,
But you
hold
want
on real
somebody
quick.
hungry, and you wanna rob people. You
Right.
want somebody hungry so that you could get over on a
And
nigga. Let's not act like.
And let's not get it fucked up. There's not a single in history or contemporarily a stitch of American technological innovation that wasn't brought about by an American, my nigga. Like the internet, the computer, like all it's like, so we have great minds. Our culture, like I said, if you're talking per capita, I'll give it to the Asians. But overall, as far as American education, American science, American STEM, we have amazing superstars in our own, in our own population. So we do not have to simply focus on the Asians. However, if the Asians are coming through, they have, equal or a little bit less skill, but are willing to do more for less. Economically, you're going to make these types of decisions. It's not solely based on talent. You're going to have to pay an American what they're worth. Simple. That's just what it is, bro. It's not like we have less talent. It's that they're willing to do more for less.
Go ahead, Pixie, Wang Chill, then JV.
Okay. By the way, Hotep, that was nasty. Hello.
Yeah, I ain't gonna
Hello.
lie,
I
Pixie.
have love
I
for
ain't
you
gonna
too.
lie. Your ideas sometimes.
That was
Go
nasty
ahead, go
because
ahead.
I literally said I like the nationalists that are standing up for it. I need the nationalists to kind of come to the front because of the whole thing with fascism. I also wasn't, is it parallel to fascism? Maybe I don't want to say it directly. That's why I also was also going to the fact
America
that
first is fascism.
This
Oh,
is what I'm
no,
listen, y'all
saying.
off the
no,
rails.
I
Let's stick
said
to the tech and the
no, no,
visa.
no, 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 no. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify that up. And for the record, I've said many of times, Obama is a fucking war criminal. That being said,
Nasty.
there's a lot to it. That being said, I want to go ahead and this is why I'm saying I'm not against this. I literally said if it brings more or it helps Americans actually have the jobs or keep jobs in America, absolutely agreed. But the way that he is doing it, and that's the thing, that's the problem that I have. And if you were to go ahead and break down some of some of Trump's ideologies, right, or what he wants to the brick and mortar, like exactly to the stems of it. It makes sense, some of them. But some of them, the way that